Generation X, a name that is synonymous with power, coupled with an impact on wrestling that is indisputable. Generated from an explosion of brilliance and audacity, Shawn Michaels and Hunter Hearst Helmsley forged a bond that set the industry ablaze with unrivaled charisma and controversy, defying authority, breaking the rules, and changing the game. Brace yourself for a captivating saga as we revisit the origins of the Attitude Era, D-Generation X. Hearst Helmsley and China, who have proven their devotion to Michaels. During an interview, dominant position, as Helmsley and China give Cole a painful surprise.
I don't want to say anything. That, my friends, is gonna leave a mark.
Michaels boasts his astounding victory over The Undertaker, claiming to be the sole icon of the World Wrestling Federation.
Who is the show stopper? Me.
Furthermore,
has it come to an end because me and my buddies made an ass out of you?
During the public display, the Hart Foundation, under the leadership of WWF champion Bret Hart, intervened. Bret Hart expressed his disapproval of Michaels and his behavior, taking the opportunity to speak his mind.
You're nothing but a degenerate. You may have barebacked your way to some kind of main event. You will never, ever be the showstopper until you take this thing away from me.
After his scathing tirade, he then challenged Helmsley to a match and reminded Michaels of his. The Clique did not respond to Hart's challenge. Instead, Michaels countered Hart's comments with his own strong statement.
The Clique owns this business. From this day until I decide, the Clique are gonna own you.
Later on, Helmsley has agreed to Hart's challenge. The arena ridiculing the audience. In contrast, Bret Hart made his entrance proudly displaying the Canadian flag. As the two competitors engaged, Bret Hart seized the upper hand, subjecting Helmsley to a whirlwind of strikes befitting of a world champion. Showing his disregard, Triple H rigs the eyes of Bret Hart, effectively turning the tables. But Bret Hart is a seasoned competitor, managing to turn the tables once again, as the sudden appearance of Shawn Michaels diverts Bret Hart's attention. In this momentary distraction, Helmsley charges Bret Hart, sending him crashing to the mat. As the events unfold, Michaels expresses his sentiments toward the Canadian flag. Shortly thereafter, members of the Hart Foundation, as Helmsley maintains control of the match. The Hart Foundation remains ever vigilant from their position at ringside. As Triple H pummels Hart, the resilient recovery, placing Triple H in position for his signature submission move, as the Hitman goes to apply. The following week's Raw saw the Hart Foundation kick off the program, to be questioned by Vince McMahon, collecting their statements on the events of the previous week.
Aside from that, Bret Hart, obviously you're not in a very good mood. You can't be happy with last week's loss.
However, before Bret Hart could get it off his chest, the Clique interrupts the meeting, appearing on screen.
Before the Hitman puts a sleeper hold on this crowd,
Michaels and Helmsley interject to replay footage from Bret's previous defeat, engaging in verbal jabs.
I'm younger than you.
Everybody's younger than him.
I'm better than you.
Everybody's better than him.
Undeterred by the Clique's attempts to provoke him, Hart challenges either of his rivals to a match on the spot.
Why don't you two degenerates come down here right now?
Michaels refuses Hart's challenge, stating that he has beaten him in the past.
And I beat his ass that stupid piece of tin he's got on his
Michaels warns Bret Hart that their paths will inevitably cross during the course of the night's events, as Helmsley answers the challenge.
You want a piece of me, huh? I did that last week.
With neither man accepting the fight, Michaels draws attention to Hart's frequent use of the term degenerate when referring to himself and Helmsley.
You think you're a degenerate? I'm positive I'm one. I guess you want. Well, you know, I'm tired of Generation X getting a bad rap. You think you're a degenerate? Everybody calls them degenerates. Degeneration X, is that us? Is it Degeneration X? You make your rules and we will break them.
Despite Michaels and Helmsley's showmanship, Bret Hart remains unfazed, insisting the interview is interrupted by the Nation of Domination, not waiting any longer for the scheduled match, featuring Owen Hart, Bret Hart's youngest brother. Before the match began, Degeneration X appeared on stage, their presence causing a distraction for Owen, as he is beaten down by Kama. Degeneration X then makes their way down the ramp. As Shawn Michaels approaches the leader of the fighting commentary over the match, Degeneration X continues to antagonize the Hart family, continuing to be a distraction. With Bret Hart present to assist his brother Owen, his focus is shifted as Michaels leaps on top of the announcer's table, who calls over the Nation of Domination, attacking Bret Hart. The Hart Foundation intervenes as Degeneration X watches from the outside, satisfied with the outcome. As Bret Hart receives the brunt of the damage, the Nation of Domination has overpowered the Hart family as officials move in to break up the altercation, ending the match. The Nation of Domination leave alongside Degeneration X, as Shawn Michaels now has a match against Flash Funk, and Degeneration X has made clear their plans to disrupt the WWF. As Flash Funk makes his entrance, the lights are cut in the arena. WWF production scrambles to restore the electricity as fire consumes the stage. Kane makes his entrance down the ramp, standing face to face with Flash Funk. The arena has been consumed by hellacious fury as Flash Funk's attacks have no effect. Kane slams Funk to the mat, leaving a message. With Kane's statement being made, Shawn Michaels rushes to the ring, pinning Flash Funk.
What else is this creep gonna do? Oh, she's a timekeeper now!
Rick Rude recites a pre-prepared proclamation, awarding the victory to Michaels, as the night is not over for Degeneration X. Prepared and unabashed, Triple H, flanked by his loyal Degeneration X companions. However, the celebration is interrupted by the authoritative as Degeneration X sends Rick Rude backstage. Then, Ahmed Johnson, the freshly appointed challenger, enters the arena as Helmsley alongside Michaels mocks his opponent. Entering the ring, Johnson is assaulted by the Nation of Domination as DX meets with the returning Rick Rude at the main stage, watching the chaos unfold as other Michaels and Helmsley. The next week's episode of Raw commences with an eventful 8-man tag match featuring Ahmed Johnson and the Nation of Domination, continuing from last week's war. Degeneration X appears on stage, holding up handwritten signs flashing the audience. As the match progresses, Rick Rude meets with Nation of Domination leader Farouk, who rolls into the ring, striking Ken Shamrock on the back with Rude's briefcase, leading to Rocky Maivia pinning him down and winning the match. To abound with Degeneration X, as the night rolls on, WWF commentators take a moment to address a backstage situation. The Nation of Domination's locker room had been defaced with derogatory remarks, as the group is shown storming the arena, confronting Vince McMahon, with Farouk unleashing his frustrations.
You just got through saying that there was no racism in the WWF, right? Are you a racist?
Damn well I'm not.
Grabbing a microphone, Farouk rolls into the ring.
Take care of this right now. This country was built on the back of a black man. All of my ancestors myself to pay the price. As far as I'm concerned, black people are the original millions of this house. Bret Hart, get your pale ass out here.
Laying down the challenge, Farouk prepares for Hart's arrival as the tension overflows.
To pick up after you, we're good enough to watch your car, but you can't come out here and face me like a man.
With the Hart Foundation leaving the challenge unanswered, Farouk approaches McMahon. Suddenly, the British Bulldog appears on stage, followed by Jim Neidhart, then Owen Hart, who is clearly unprepared. Then, Bret Hart hits the stage. Degeneration X is then shown entering the arena, forming an alliance with the Nation of Domination, heading towards the commentary team. Michaels.
And now, the WWF Season Champion that sees no color, to represent the World Wrestling Federation that knows no creed.
Stilling his attention. Wake of destruction, but Bret Hart manages to escape the scuffle, chasing down Shawn Michaels, who is able to escape. Returning to the match, Bret Hart targets the legs of Farouk in an attempt to force him into submission. Dragging Farouk to the corner of the ring, the Nation of Domination prevents his submission attempt as the Hart Foundation once again jumps in, protecting Bret Hart. Then, Stone Cold Steve Austin slithers into the ring, dropping Farouk with a Stone Cold Stunner. Remain unanswered. Who defaced the locker room? And what is Stone Cold's involvement? As the flame remains ignited, Owen Hart makes his way to the ring and grabs him.
You keep your boys out of it, and I'll keep the Hart Foundation out of it, and the best man will walk out of here with 2 titles.
Putting his championship on the line, Degeneration X appears on stage, with Michaels accepting the challenge, signaling for his Degeneration X groupmates to leave the arena. Owen and Michaels square off in the ring, with Owen gaining the advantage with his in-ring ability. However, the tables turn as Michaels uses the ring equipment to his advantage. The Hart Foundation is shown monitoring the match backstage. While back in the ring, Owen Hart has managed to regain control, halting Michaels in his tracks. As the Heartbreak Kid battles back, he finds an opening for sweet Shawn Michaels. As Stone Cold Steve Austin slithers back into the ring, the Rattlesnake continues to strike with no discernible intention. Bret Hart is then shown rushing to the ring, taking down Shawn Michaels. Degeneration X rushes in to pull Michaels away from the beating, as the situation remains ablaze. The next week's episode of Raw opened with an intense confrontation between the Nation of Domination and Vince McMahon. Farouk gives his thoughts on the previous week's events, targeting the Hart Foundation. Then, the Hart Foundation appears on stage, with Bret Hart defending their position.
In Canada, we love people for what they are inside, and that's the plain, basic truth. And you know, and I know, that Shawn Michaels and his boy toy are the ones responsible for all the problems between you and me.
However, their defense was cut short as Degeneration X appears on screen.
This country was built on the sweat of a brow of a black man. You saw what he did to the nation's locker room, but the Grand Wizard out there and the rest of his KKK buddies, they used the N-word.
Based on their accusations, Degeneration X causes an assault, resulting in Bret Hart suffering an injury. Triple H is then scheduled to compete against Goldust, being accompanied by his DX companions. The match begins with strain between China and Goldust, working in Helmsley's favor. However, Goldust quickly turned the tide, but with his momentum working against him, China moves in for the attack, body slamming him on the steel. Marlena, the wife of Goldust, is present for the assault, who manages to return the favor, smacking Triple H. In the confusion, China strikes Goldust with Marlena's metal purse, allowing Helmsley to connect with the pedigree, driving him face first into the mat, securing the victory. As the night advances, the main event match between Bret Hart and Ken Shamrock took place with the intensity, with Shamrock taking advantage of Hart's earlier assault. Refusing to lose the WWF title, Hart strikes Shamrock. As Michaels disrupts the match, Shamrock attacks Michaels in retaliation. WWF officials have stormed the ring, trying to regain control, alongside the Generation X, retrieving Michaels, settling the chaos. With the calm over the ring, the storm intensifies as Michaels and Bret Hart manage to exchange several rounds of blows as the rivalry reaches its peak. In the aftermath, Vince McMahon addresses Shawn Michaels, demanding that he reveal his plans for Survivor Series. However, Rick Rude interjects, indicating that Michaels' actions will speak louder than his words.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute! How dare you?
The following week, the Generation X made their entrance to be interviewed by Michael Cole. Instead, Triple H grabs the microphone, continuing their disrespect towards WWF staff as Michaels proceeds to give his plans for next week.
First, the Heartbreak Kid come out here and walk naked.
This is going entirely
And then the next thing, Ken Shamrock's most dangerous man, dangerous man.
Challenging Shamrock to a match, Helmsley called out Commissioner Slaughter to make the match official, but the summoning proved to be a ruse. Slaughter's mode of communication. In response to their antics, Slaughter agreed to make the match.
You are gonna wrestle Ken Shamrock, but it's gonna be tonight.
As scheduled, Ken Shamrock stomped to the ring ready for vengeance. As Shawn Michaels exuding supreme confidence, Shamrock begins the match by administering significant punishment. As Michaels shows his blatant disrespect of authority, the official struggles to keep the Generation X from its case. With the official forced to end the match, DX stands tall over Shamrock, as Michaels is en route to ultimate dominance, moving on to Survivor Series, facing Bret Hart for the WWF Championship. With Shawn Michaels sporting an intense expression, Michaels proceeds to enter the arena alone, greeted with an onslaught of boos from the audience, which is met with contentious behavior from Michaels. Despite the hostile environment, Michaels continued to provoke the Canadian audience. The Hart Foundation is then shown making their way towards the stage, with Bret Hart leading the charge. The Canadian crowd erupts into a thunderous ovation upon WWF champion Bret Hart's entrance. With the championship title at stake, both men present a stance of conviction, ready to engage in what promises to be an intense battle. Spirit kicks in, fighting back to send Michaels out of the ring. As the brawl is spilled around the ringside area, Bret Hart uses the ring equipment to his advantage and throws Shawn Michaels into the audience. The chaos attracts the attention of Vince McMahon, but not before striking a WWF official in frustration. As Bret Hart drags Michaels back into the ring, the match is now officially underway, as Hart chokes Michaels with the Quebec flag. Despite Canadian flag, snaps it, spiking Bret Hart with his jagged edges. Upon returning to the ring, Michaels maintains a dominant position, stuffing Bret Hart from regaining control. As Hart manages to fight back, he frees himself from Michaels' hold, attacking his legs in an attempt to force a submission. In a strenuous tug of war, Michaels manages to subdue the hitman by raking the eyes of Bret Hart. However, Hart retaliates by overpowering Michaels outside of the ring. With Michaels unable to reverse Hart's momentum, he is placed in a figure 4 submission hold. Despite the intense pressure, Michaels counters the hold, shifting the strain and forcing Hart to break the submission. With the Heartbreak Kid still in turmoil, Bret Hart shows no weakness in his offense. But in a mishap that would serve to decide the etchings of history, Hart inadvertently struck the official when Michaels pulled him into his path. Dazed by the blow, Michaels locks Bret Hart in his own sharpshooter submission hold. As the referee, who was beginning to rise after being struck, sees the hold apply and calls for the bell, rendering Michaels victorious. The referee flees the scene as Bret Hart is stunned by his decision. With McMahon still at ringside, Bret Hart spits directly in his face as the Generation X makes a hasty escape from the arena, as Shawn Michaels is now WWF World Champion.
Good night from Montreal. 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 Montreal.